let's go around and how would you sum up the 2025 year as it relates to Latter-day Saint news? Melissa, you go first. One word or phrase.
Garments.
As the cold winds of winter sweep in, there's nothing like the warmth of a comforting cup to help you slow down and unwind. This is the season. Let Postum be your cozy companion. Made from roasted grains, Postum is caffeine-free and rich with a smooth roasted flavor. It's the perfect drink for those quiet, chilly mornings. Whether you're curled up with a good book, sharing a laugh with loved ones, or simply watching the snow fall outside, a cup of Postum is the moment you have been waiting for.
Welcome, everybody, to the 2025 year-end This Week in Mormons episode. I guess this year in Mormons 2025. And we got some familiar characters here. All our favorite ladies in the TWIM universe.
Kurt, you got all the ladies today.
That's right. That's right.
I don't think you've ever done a year-end wrap-up where you've just been Kurt and the ladies.
That's right. Kurt and the ladies. There's our episode title. So, Tiffany, Ariane, how are you two?
Oh, we're good.
Great. Chugging away.
Just trying to survive.
Surviving December.
Yeah.
You're all huddled around the Diet Coke tree that I had the opportunity to stop by at Tiffany's house a few weeks ago as we were traveling through Boise, and I witnessed the Diet Coke tree that she has off camera, and I was definitely jealous. So tell us the story, Tiffany, of the Diet Coke tree.
Her new ornament for the tree today.
That's so
nice.
cute.
Nice.
I know when she walked in with this, I knew exactly what it was and who it was for. I was like, oh.
So tell us about this tree, Tiffany.
So here's what inspired it. My kids were last year. I've got an adult kid that lives in Utah and he's married, and they had gone to the Festival of the Trees down there. And when they went to the Festival of the Trees, they saw a Diet Coke tree, and it was in memoriam for a lady that had passed away that loved Diet Coke. And so they took a picture of this tree because when they saw it, they thought of me and sent it to me. And I just thought, oh my gosh, that is such a cute idea. And so when Christmas was over and Christmas stuff was on clearance, I started buying Christmas stuff on clearance. I bought my tree for like $20. And then I bought, and I should say, I need to give credit where credit is due over here to Ariane, because Ariane significantly helped me with this Diet Coke tree. I bought a bunch of clear ornaments and I painted the inside of the ornaments. Some of them are painted white and some of them are painted silver. And then she took the Diet Coke logo because she has a Cricut machine, and she cut it out on red vinyl. And so then I put the red vinyl over the ornament that I had painted. And then I also took little mini cans of Diet Coke, and no Diet Coke tree is appropriate without copious amounts of glitter. And I glittered my little Diet Coke cans. So that's how the whole thing came about. I found some ribbon that was perfect to go with it. So everything I got on clearance. So I probably have maybe like the tree was $20. I probably have maybe $40 into this tree. It was a pretty inexpensive tree for me to do. And I was going to wait and put it up for Christmas this year. But when I started collecting everything, I thought, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to leave it up year round. And it sits in my home office. So when I'm having a bad lawyering day, I can just look over at my tree and think happy thoughts.
Yeah, you drink Diet Coke year round, so you might as well keep the tree up year round, right?
Exactly. And look, I'm repping today for those on the YouTube. I've got my Diet Coke sweatshirt on. Ariane made me these earrings. I've got my Diet Coke socks. So
she's decked out.
Well,
I'm decked out today.
If I wasn't currently slurping on my Stanley full of Diet Dr. Pepper, I might accuse you of idol worship. But since I'm in the same seat.
Nice. Well, I hope Hulu's listening, because they could have a whole series about the Diet Coke lady here.
Okay, look what Ariane has.
Oh, Swig.
And
hey,
I'm
Swig, you got my number. You're always welcome to sponsor. So
That's right. How do we get them on board?
And Melissa, how are you doing?
I'm doing so great, Kurt, but I will say I'm a little suspicious of the upcoming year. 2025 is a great year because it's a 20 and a 25, which are both multiples of 5, which is the perfect number. And I can't believe it's coming to an end. And now we have to go to 2026, which is just a really uncomfortable feeling number. Doesn't anybody
Yeah,
else think that?
it is true. But we
No,
somehow did
I like
You haven't
2023,
thought
right?
it through? You haven't thought it through enough if you
2025
don't agree.
Yeah.
2025 has been a harsh and demanding year. I need it to be over with.
Awesome. Awesome. And Matt is off somewhere with family and other obligations he has, so he's in our thoughts for sure. So for sure.
But he's in our prayers.
Yeah, yes,
That's right.
we're always praying for Matt. Melissa's been praying
Yep.
for Matt since she was born. So awesome. Well, as always, this year for This Week in Mormons was made possible because of our favorite people at Postum. I'm sure that's the second drink behind Diet Coke that Tiffany always has standing by. So
Absolutely. In fact, Ariane and I need to get back on our shtick. We were having fun creating some good
No,
postum
we
drinks.
need some new concoctions. It's
And
been a
then
while.
2025 happened and we were just in survival mode. So maybe 2026 we'll
Yeah.
create some new postum concoctions because seriously, we had a blast doing that.
That was fun.
It's
yeah,
fun.
and you found some good ones,
We
that
did.
you really
Some
like.
of them Ariane still
I
drinks.
still make some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, June over, that runs Postum. She's been, I think, Melissa, didn't you interview her? Was it you and Matt that
Yeah.
interviewed her?
Yeah, if anybody wants to go back and listen to that, she was a great interview, not just about Postum, but man, she's a business boss. Like
Yeah.
she's a really cool female entrepreneur. I was impressed with her. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they re-upped for 2026. So we'll have more shout outs to Postum in the coming year. And they make it possible so I can hire an editor to do a lot of this editing work that I don't want to do. So it's been great. It's
Nice.
been great. So, and all the hosting and all that. So that's great. And I should mention that we are recording this on December 20th, and we won't release this till December, I don't know what, 27th. So if something happens this week and we didn't talk about it, like we just are in the past.
That's why.
So sorry. Sorry. All right. So in one word or phrase, let's go around and how would you sum up the 2025 year as it relates to Latter-day Saint news? Melissa, you go first. One word or phrase.
Garments.
Garments. You stole Ariane's. Huh?
Did I?
I don't know. What would you say, Ariane?
Besides garments, well, I would just say change.
Yeah.
Just
Lots of change, right?
Yeah. So just some big ones with the prophet.
Tiffany, what about you?
For me, it just seemed like it was slow and then it was explosion.
Yeah, right.
We struggled to find stories and then September hits and we have not struggled since September.
So true. Yeah, I was noting that like early on, and we may have even commented on it. Where I even listed in March the new Cougar Tail flavor. I mean, talk about a slow news year by March.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we need
that's true.
something here. Higher emphasis on Easter or some other ones. Elderly. They talked about you can serve missions as I guess men can serve missions.
Yeah.
Older, right? Or older but younger adults. I don't know what it is, but anyways, but yeah, then it just took off and we couldn't keep up, right? Couldn't keep up.
Seriously.
Mhm.
Well,
Tiffany?
special episodes just to keep up with with everything that was coming at us so fast.
Yeah. So we put out a survey both amongst our hosts here and also just for the listening audience to take as well, and had everybody rank the top stories of 2025. Oh, and I didn't give my word or phrase. And this is something me and Matt go back and forth. We text back and forth about all the anti-Mormon, the anti-stories out there, from football crowds chanting unpleasant things to obviously the tragedy in Grand Blanc. And so to me, it's the year of the anti-Mormon. So, and I think me and Matt are the only ones that agree with that, but we'll get to that. So, me and Matt, we have strange opinions. I don't know if you ladies have noticed, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah, we have. We won't hold it against you.
We have.
Well,
Nice.
yeah, I'm
You probably
really
skip
anxious
that
to
one
hear this.
if Melissa wasn't on it. But
Yeah, I want to
awesome.
hear the survey results. I want to know if everybody thought the big things were the same things that we thought were the big things.
All right. So we'll start at number one, just so we don't run out of time talking about the important things. So, what do you think the number one? Do you remember what you put as the number one episode? Any guesses on what it would, or the number one
I do
news
I
think I
do.
story?
remember. That's one of the only ones I remember. I think I put the prophet,
I did too.
change of prophet. Like,
Change of profit, Melissa.
I don't remember what I put, but I think the Grand Blanc
Okay.
incident.
So number one was the death of President Nelson. No shocker there, right? For
Yeah.
most of you, anyway. So, and it's sort of a close one because number two was the Michigan shooting, which was obviously just, and the fact that they happened within 12 hours of each other, that
Mhm.
President Nelson dies, and that happens the next morning was shocking. So, any perceptions as far as President Nelson passing? Anything that surprised you? I think. There were some predictions that, I mean, when you're 101 years old, it could be any second at that point, right? So,
yeah,
but any thoughts on what you observed or how that's been?
I was just really hoping he'd make it to the Salt Lake Temple dedication.
Right.
And I know that that was a big ask because, he's 101. He'd be what, 102, 103 by then?
Yeah.
But he just was so heavily involved in the Salt Lake Temple and its renovation, and without a doubt, he will be there from the other side. But I was always hoping to see him get to do the rededication of that, and so I think in my mind, I didn't wanna realize how his infirmities, because I was so pulling for him to hang in there, that for me, it kinda caught me off guard.
Sounds
I
like
was
someone will
also
always be
very
around.
surprised by it. I was shocked the morning when I woke up and read about it. I almost wondered if it was a real story. I hadn't heard the upcoming, like, the stories leading up to it about, him losing his vision, and I knew that he was, becoming more frail, but it still seemed to me like he was leading, he wasn't just kind of quietly sitting back. So I was very surprised by it. I think I've also been surprised by the transition to President Oaks. How do I say this? I don't think the outpouring of love and emotion and excitement has been as strong as it was when President Nelson died. And I don't know if that's a reflection of the fact that we just loved President Nelson so much, or of the fact that so many other things have been going on at the same time. But I don't know. I haven't seen that. I don't know, that big transition happen like in my mind yet. It hasn't been like, I don't know, this outpouring of change and tradition and love yet. Have you guys thought that a little bit?
Like for President Oaks, or
Yeah.
like cheering him on and wishing him well type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Hmm.
haven't seen
yeah,
that.
maybe a
Yeah,
little
where
bit. I wonder if once we get to April conference, we'll feel that more. Like,
That's true
because
because with him taking over and not actually being prophet at the conference, that's true. That could be part of that. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I also wonder too how much of it is personality driven. I mean, President Nelson just has a personality that was very, very, very endearing.
Mhm.
Now, read the private stuff about President Oaks. It seems he does have a personality that is very endearing, but I don't know if that necessarily comes across publicly. And so I wonder how much the personality plays into how we perceive that and how we respond.
Yeah. And like my brother Matt made an interesting comment a few episodes ago where he said, President Nelson's strength was in speaking and in personality. And President Oaks is an amazing leader, but he has a different leadership strength, right?
Exactly.
And
Mhm.
it's more one-on-one, and it's also more written than spoken. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think it's just taking some adjusting. Yeah.
yeah. I think there's that dynamic of the general membership sort of warm up to the personality, or they're more focused on that individual, or in the past it's sort of like maybe they naturally tune out or they don't listen as closely. I don't know what it is, but hopefully that will come, because it's interesting to see as the church releases more with interviews with his wife and others, and you're
Mhm.
like, you get to know him more, and you're more see him as a person rather than this a legal judge that will stand and give direct doctrinal talks, but and his talk in the last conference was so sweet to hear him, break down and talk about something more
Yeah.
personal that I've sort of had I read, his biography that came out, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And it was fine. It was fun to learn about his life and everything. But sometimes it's like, man, did this guy ever struggle? It's like he straight A's in high school and then, went on to law school and then was what do you call it, on the Supreme Court, right? Like,
He was a he was a yeah, well, he was a Supreme Court judge. Uh, I
but he
mean, he worked
clerked
in
for
a
a Supreme Court
or
justice,
he
right?
clerked for a Supreme
Yeah,
Court
yeah.
justice, yeah.
Yeah, and so and you hear these, like, accomplishments, like, "Wow, like, did this guy ever, like, have a hard day?" And so to hear I really appreciated his conference talk where he leaned into that tragedy, that trauma of losing his father and seeing his grandfather step in, so I think that was a great moment, and I don't know what happens in the psyche of a prophet when suddenly they're the one in charge. Maybe they feel a little more comfortable letting their hair down, which doesn't make sense with President Oaks, but you know what I mean, right? Being a little more comfortable, um, speaking and being more personable. Because I felt that a lot with President Nelson. Is a lot over, in the early years, you're sort of like, wow, this, like, he's really being who he is. I felt like, anyways.
Now,
Well,
in relation to the Salt Lake Temple, which President Nelson didn't make it to, I did notice yesterday that the Church News released a story about the first presidency touring the renovations, and all three of them were there to tour the renovations. And so it did say they're still, very involved in the renovation of the Salt Lake Temple. I noticed that in most of the pictures, President Oaks and Elder Eyring were in wheelchairs as they toured the renovation. So I
See
don't
that.
think, physical health is the same as mental health, but it does give you pause and think, okay, how are we doing?
Anything else with the death of President Nelson that would be worth highlighting as the number one story of 2025?
He really just was so loved. So
well, and the other thing too is just, how long after his death before they reorganized the first presidency.
Yeah.
That was the longest period of time, we'd ever seen, and, we were all sitting here, armchair quarterbacking going, "Is it gonna be it now? Is it gonna be then? Is it gonna be when?" And so that was a very interesting process to watch.
Yeah. Well, because they had like a memorial, right, that they broadcast that felt
They
very
had
much like a funeral. And then they had
Yes.
general conference and then they had the funeral, right? And so
Yeah,
you almost expected they had the memorial. You're like, okay, they're doing this so that they can then
yeah.
get on to the business of reorganizing the first presidency for conference, but then they didn't do that, right? And
Nope.
and so yeah, it was just interesting that the way that rolled out and kept us on our toes.
It
So
really did. You were tuning in every day going, "Do we have a new first presidency? Do we have" I mean, not like, we were gonna be entirely shocked as to who the
right.
prophet was gonna be.
yeah,
Yeah. And then even it sounds like, when President Christopherson, when they did have the press conference and President Christopherson started talking about, he woke up not that day, not knowing that he was in the first presidency, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was more President Oak style or if that's kind of typical, but it was interesting that I think everybody was, even the Quorum of the 12 was like, so when are we doing this? Like, is it today? Oh, it is today.
mhm.
Well,
So
and the other thing that I thought was really interesting when you read President Christopherson's interview is, President Oaks called him in, and it didn't seem like President Christopherson's wife was there. And I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like every time President Nelson extended a calling, of that level or, even 2 or 3 degrees lower, that he always brought the wife in, which I really appreciated because and I don't know, maybe when you get to a calling that level, because it's done in the temple, maybe that isn't, feasible, but I really appreciated what President Nelson did in bringing the wives in because those callings, whether you're talking temple presidency or mission presidency or, area authority, um, put a lot of demand on the spouse in addition to the priesthood holder being called. And to get the buy-in from the spouse, I think is, it seemed like that was what President Nelson wanted to do is make sure, got not that a spouse wouldn't buy it in, but it's nice to be asked. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
sure. All right. Man, this is a story we could have never guessed, and unfortunately
Oh,
have to review just the shooting of Grand Blanc, Michigan, and that just rocked the church, rocked our community. To see that building, that stake center, just up in flames with the truck crashed into the front, and then to hear that people had died because of a shooting, it was just coming at us so fast, right? And then obviously there's always the miracles and the sweet tender mercies that happen after that. I'm thinking with the fundraiser for the wife of the shooter, and hearing stories about people, uh, that little miracles that happen with people maybe being grazed by bullets, or those in the hospital that made a slow but full recovery and things like that. And then of course recognizing those who had passed on because of the tragedy. So how's this define this 2025? Any thoughts?
Well, I feel like it just kind of followed what's happening with the rest of our world. Like there's so much political and religious violence that we've been seeing. For me, unfortunately, it kind of felt like, well, it was just a matter of time before it touched us also. Um, it's kind of on trend with what's happening to lots of religious communities around us, I think, and with the political violence too. And it's so sad, but
Yeah.
I see a good TC Christensen movie coming out of this in about 10 years when the emotions aren't as raw.
Yes. Yep.
I do think this was a unique example of people telling their own stories. I saw a lot of people involved in the incident just posting their own stories on TikTok, on Instagram. I thought that was new. And even people who told stories to more official news outlets, it was telling it more to like local news. I just feel like people put out blog posts. I think it was an interesting way to see things um, through people's own personal eyes. And I just think that hasn't happened in a major LDS story in that way before. And then I also really think, I don't think it's specifically anti-Mormon. I know that Kurt, this is something that you think
Let's
a
hear
lot
it. Yeah.
about, and I know that the attacker, that he did have anti-LDS sentiment, but I don't think that he was speaking for a larger community in being
Yeah.
anti-LDS. I just, I think it was just one person and one thing. Um, I do think, religion is probably under attack and in general, but I don't think the LDS church itself is under attack. I haven't seen that increase. And maybe that's not the way that you want to go from this story, Kurt. But I don't think that's what this is
Yeah.
an anti-LDS thing.
There's so much content online. It's really easy to sort of get in a silo and think, and then project
Yeah.
that silo, more broadly. It was interesting. I don't spend a ton of time on X, but it seemed like that was definitely a hotbed of this sentiment of suddenly, because I think President Trump put out an announcement about when the shooting happened, and then he referenced Latter Day Saints as Christian, and then the Christian community picked that up and like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I mean, yeah, we feel sorry for them, but let's be clear, they're not Christian. It was just really interesting to see how much that perspective came to the surface,
Hmm.
broadly speaking, amongst of like suddenly like they can't even take a breath or be like, okay, sure, we don't think they're Christian, but we'll get to that later. Right now, or suddenly they wanted to die on this hill of, well, we definitely want to be clear that they're not Christian. So that's kind of what to
Yeah,
me
that's fair.
almost sparked some things of like, wow, like we didn't know that was there, and now it seems like there's more and more of this discussion of people debating the Trinity and people debating, our theology in a way that to prove that we're Christian or not Christian or whatever. So, anyways,
That's
that's on my
interesting. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I also was interested in the fact that at least no one that I knew in my personal local ward, we didn't have any sort of a safety response. We didn't have any sort of a, are we safe at church, or do we need to have a drill, or do we need to change policy and procedure? That wasn't a reaction at all. And when things like that happen at school, since I'm a school teacher, like that is the reaction, is let's
yeah.
double down. Let's figure out how we're safe. Let's figure out what we need to change. I thought it was interesting. I don't think it was wrong. I just of note.
Yeah,
Kurt,
and
did your ward discuss any safety measures post shooting?
Yeah, so I think what happened is the Utah area presidency, and I imagine a lot of the area presidencies sent out something, maybe in their own way, to their area with encouragement to be more aware, or I forget exactly how the message was sent out, but then I remember our stake sent it out to ward councils as far as like, we need to do a few things to be secure, like, monitoring parking lot and things. And I and so we have been trying to attempt that, but I don't know, it's just one of those things of like, it's such a random, tragic
Yeah.
event that even if we are aware, I mean, sure, maybe there be some less mortality or things like that, but it's just tricky because it's hard to ask people to do this, and they kind of feel like, why am I walking out to the parking lot every 10 minutes? Like, and what am I going to do if more trashy shows up or something? So yeah, we have done there has been encouragement there, but it's kind of been hard to maintain because you get distracted with just going to church and going to class and keeping that organized. But has your ward done anything for you two in the Idaho ladies?
Ours hasn't, although I was in ward council shortly after that happened, and the bishop brought up just the reminder. I don't know if it was the letter sent out by the church or if it had come from our stake, but he just, like, as a reminder in ward council, just brought up, remember, we are still not supposed to carry like
Yeah.
like don't bring your guns to church. And there were a couple guys in ward council who were like, yeah, yeah. Like, and he was like, no, the bishop was like, no, I'm serious. Like, we're still not supposed to bring our guns to church. And he got some eye rolls. So,
So I
There's
guess
that.
we know what's happening in Ariane's ward.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. What about you, Tiffany?
Yeah, nothing in my ward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I've heard there's some that I think there's like a training, like a video training that can be shown about just, I don't know,
hmm.
church house security. I don't know, but definitely, it's just so tragic. Like you want to respond in a way that's going to be helpful, and you can't bring those people back, and you can't reverse the tragedy. But there's just this inherent like desire, like, oh, let's just take extra step to make sure this doesn't happen, which is, I think, good. But sometimes you wish you could do more to feel more secure. But unfortunately, it's just the world we live in, and I
it
hate that.
it is. And if somebody wants to harm you, I mean, I've always said this. I mean, if somebody wants to harm you and they're set on harming you, they're going to harm you. And there's
Yeah.
probably not a lot you can do to stop it. So, I mean, you can be aware, you can be alert, but I mean, you think about it, even if they had people, driving around the parking lot in Grand Blanc or patrolling the parking lot, this guy literally drove into the church building.
Yeah.
And, how do you stop that? You can't.
Yeah. Yeah. And just these things I think that would be worth mentioning and highlighting so that we recognize the tragedy, but also ended on a good note with, members of the church responding with all sorts of GoFundMe, like I mentioned, even for
Yeah.
the shooter's family. I forget what context or friend or somebody, I had somebody who had a connection to that stake, and he showed me these pictures of, because I think that stake, that was their stake center, but then they had a state
It was.
conference a week or two after, right? And he showed me that at the state conference, they took all the letters that people had been sending in of condolences and whatnot, and they plastered the walls of the cultural hall with all these letters.
Wow.
And there were like pictures of you know children had drawn pictures, and it was just so sweet to see that, in such a healing moment for those saints to feel the support of the greater church around the world. And so it's just those little things where, and I think there was, it last week or 2 weeks ago, there was I think I don't know if he's the last person who's been in the hospital, but he was released from the hospital,
Yeah.
right? And um,
Hmm.
so yeah, just those sweet moments of people showing up, and
Yeah.
and then the sweet messages from people outside of our community, maybe more famous, or other churches who wept with us. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, the response of members of our church is really what has made me the most emotional about this story.
Mm,
And I think it is to me, it's how you say out loud to the world, we are Christians. We do have a savior.
yeah.
And I think they did that so well. It was beautiful.
All right, we can now take a breath because I think we're done with with death in the news for the year. I'm sure there's something else further down on the list. But anyways, number three, which could very, I mean, if we lived in a much happy, peaceful world, this may have been the top story of the year, which came in at number three, is the new garment drop in the U.S. And
Yes.
Tiffany and Ariana, it was fun hearing you. Always, you track this, I think, more than the rest of us, and get your updates and things. But I mean, what are your thoughts about what we witnessed now that it's sort of cooled off and everything's out of stock?
Oh, it's just
I'm
been so
so
fun.
happy and I'm so mad.
I
Like,
know,
I'm
right?
so happy and I'm so mad.
Are you still waiting for your order like we are?
I've gotten like partial pieces of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Same.
I was able to go into store and get a few things which were the wrong size, because I do think the sizing on these new garments is quite odd. I mean,
It's weird.
it nothing fits.
Also, that's not
Um,
nothing new. We're used to wonky sizing, right?
yeah. Um, and yeah, but I've have them. I'm washing them, regularly and wearing them as much as I can because I really, really love them. I mean, they are life changing. I am not exaggerating when I say I'm on the website every other day to see if I can order anything. And no, you still cannot.
Yeah.
It's absolutely you cannot.
Or you can, but it's
There's
either extra small or the triple, quadruple X large or
Well,
something. Right?
right now they won't even let you order anything, even a
Oh,
different
really?
style of garments. Like
Oh,
it's
wow.
just
Oh,
no
it's
more
totally
orders
shut
for a
down
while.
now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
In fact, I
Yeah.
have a friend of mine, her daughter is getting married in early January and hasn't been through the temple, and she is struggling to find
Yeah.
garments. She's like, of any kind.
Of any
really?
I
kind.
can't find it.
I didn't realize it was completely shut down at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And at
we've
least
done
in
girls.
my local Deseret book, unless you're a size 2XL or larger, there's nothing. Absolutely
Wow.
nothing. So, but I do think the left out story is the men's side of this because my
Yes.
husband's been able to get all kinds of the new garments and he loves them. For him,
Okay.
also life changing. Also, I think it's the fabric is so awesome. Now he's not wearing the slip, okay, so he can't speak to that.
Now I
But
want to
Okay.
he's
speak to I can speak to
yeah,
the men's, sleeveless, because my wife wrapped me one when she was ordering hers as well. And especially on a Sunday in a wool suit, when you put that suit coat on, it feels
Oh,
dramatically different. It is a
mhm,
game changer when
I didn't
I
think
mean, just
about
like moving
that.
your
yeah.
arms and the
yeah,
ventilation, and it is, I love it, right? And I so I have my precious like one pair that I'm like,
yeah.
what day of the week should I wear this one?
Because are the men's sold out too? Can you not get
Yeah.
any men's garments
No,
either?
they're
Same?
gone. Yeah.
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 So,
Well, I called Ariane this week because I know a lot of women like wear the slip to sleep in, but it's cold right now. I need to be warmer when I'm sleeping, and so I wore the slip for the first time this week because I was wearing tights. And if you've ever worn tights before with garment bottoms, you feel like a stuffed sausage. And so
Mhm.
I wore the slip this week, and I called Ariane and I said, "OMG, this is life changing."
It is. It is. I can't tell you how many times I've chosen to wear a dress to work because I get to wear the slip. Like
Yeah,
it's all I think about is when do I get to wear the slip this week? Like the fabric, it's almost like it doesn't exist. It is so
yeah,
nice. And I'm
yeah,
wearing the regular underwear underneath it, not to disclose
yeah,
too much, but
yeah.
I feel like a human being again. I really do. It is so amazing. It is so amazing. And I just think I don't know. The biggest problem with the slip for me is when I get home from work and I want to put on sweats, I got to change the garments because I
Yeah.
can't wear the
Yeah,
slip.
can't
Still,
just stuff
that's
them in
my
the
only
sweats, right?
that's my only con is then I have to go through two pairs of garments in a day, but it's worth it. I am wearing the slip any chance I get.
That's
well, when it
awesome.
gets to summertime, you can just wear, a cool t-shirt dress all day long.
That's right.
These types of changes in our culture and our faith experience is interesting because it brings out I don't know the way to say this, but it's interesting to see how we respond to it. For instance, when these garments dropped in, I don't know who found out or how, but it seemed like there was a secret memo that went out, and there were
Yes.
suddenly these lines outside of, distribution centers, and then the word got around fast, right? People were recording, sharing, and running to their distribution center to line up. So that was an interesting component of this garment drop, right?
Yeah. The whole thing was so fascinating to
It
watch
was.
and to live through. And
You
it just
should have.
makes me wonder, like, I mean, how many years has it been since a major change in the garment? What, since the
Yeah.
70s?
Yeah, when they went from I think I had a viewer when we were talking send me a link or a message afterwards that said I think it was 1979 or 1980 that they went from the one piece to the
To
two
the two piece.
piece.
So, I mean, you can say this is so silly for, to get so excited about this, but when you look at like how many decades it's been since we've had any
A
major
major
changes, it's
revision.
a huge big deal. And it was fascinating to live through it and participate in it, and then just to watch the reaction of everybody around the world and all of the, especially women of the church. Like,
Yeah.
it's so fun and interesting and fascinating to watch. So,
Yeah.
I want a behind the scenes of where they make the garments and if they are working like double and triple overtime to keep up with demand.
Yeah.
Did the church, when they released them in America, really have any clue? Or were they shocked with the reaction?
Early in our marriage, my wife actually worked at Beehive Clothing and sewed garments and made garments. And she said even back then it was like, I mean, the demand and like you had to hit certain quotas as far as your production and things. So I can imagine the stress that crew is under.
Now, of controversy, okay. Number one, I have personally experienced a little bit of shame in showing my shoulders. Okay. I have
already?
had, and it's weird because it's mainly from young people, not from old people who
What?
say, yes, yes. And my daughter has had the same experience where she works at a bank. But yes, like saying things like, oh, now you get to dress. I've heard the word slutty. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, you're so excited that you get to dress slutty now. Yeah. There has been
Oh,
some
this is the dark
major.
side of the story.
It
Yeah.
is, right? It is,
Because
yeah.
we knew this was coming. I mean, we saw the lead up as
Yeah.
people were getting their hands on them early.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we knew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah. So
dark side
I
of it.
think culturally, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for the shift for people to just settle down already. The other thing, and I'm going to need some listeners to do some digging in on this, is I believe that the garments that we got here in North America are different than the ones they originally released early. I do believe the sleeves are wider. Okay. And if
uh-oh.
you get your new garment package, it says new sizing on it. So I got
Really?
an, yeah, it says new sizing on it. And I have seen a side by side comparison of the people who got some sneaky ones early and got the new ones now. And the sleeves are just a little bit wider, a little bit
Wow.
wider.
The black
Well,
market
So
continues.
I'm going to need
we're
someone to
going to
do
have
some actual
to
digging to
I
see.
I will compare because I have one
Okay.
large that was acquired
and
overseas,
I have one medium acquired overseas.
but you don't have your new
Okay.
mediums yet.
I
You're
don't have my
waiting
new
for her
mediums.
mediums. My larges have come in. So I have my large. I haven't taken them out of the package yet because
It's winter.
it's winter and I'm
Hey,
cold. But
um,
I will return and report.
yeah, yeah,
I will do a
that'd be
comparison.
excellent to put
Okay,
that rumor to rest.
That would be scandalous.
that would be
I really
scandalous.
hope it's not true.
I know. I know.
All right. Any other garment talk that we need to mention? I'm trying to think of the other. I think you mentioned it, Melissa's. Just these little nuances or intricacies of some of these, changes where suddenly people are lining up. Okay, that's interesting. Or suddenly there's a response to shoulders in a way that is interesting, right? Good or bad or ugly or whatever.
Right. I'm
And
excited
Yeah.
for that part of it to settle down. That
yeah,
part of it is still very much around the dark side, the judging people's shoulders. And I'm anxious next summer, now that everybody has opportunity. Well, hopefully by next summer, everybody will have opportunity to have these in America. I'm anxious for just the shoulder situation to just settle and
mhm,
for people to just get used to seeing it. Everybody gets used to seeing shoulders, and I'll be curious to see how long it takes for that to wear off, to where we as a
To where shoulders aren't shocking.
yes, to where we as a
Yeah.
community just settle and we get used to it. There's no comments, there's no you don't think in your head anymore, like, you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not like, "Oh my gosh, I see her shoulders." Because
I
we
want
oh, I was
Yeah,
just
I want the focus to be on what the garments are for, right?
Yeah.
There I want that to be what comes of this, is that we all realize, like, these garments are not about what parts of your body are showing. That's not
right.
it's got nothing to do with modesty. They are not related, and
Yeah.
I'm anxious for that transition of thought to happen.
Yes, and I'm sure it will. It'll just be interesting to see how long it takes to settle.
Mhm.
But I know, like, because we had our one sneaky pair we got last summer, and we had it early, and I always felt like I had to disclaimer. Like, I
Mhm.
wore them to a Relief Society event once with a sleeveless top, and I felt like I had to be like, I got them." Like,
Yeah. Just so you know.
I just felt judged. So I'm very excited for next summer. Everybody, no questions asked. Everybody knows that everybody has these or has opportunity to have these.
Yeah.
And then we can
And
meet, like, just like you said, Melissa, then we can move on past
Yeah.
that.
We start judging each other for something else.
Yes.
and I think the only thing that will expedite this cultural shift is bare shoulders at General Conference.
Yes,
Oh, for
yes,
sure.
yes.
Can you
That would
For
imagine,
sure.
that would
Relief Society
be so
president
helpful.
going up there
Yes.
and just speaking and not even referencing it? And
Why not?
right? Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the number one most helpful thing.
Okay, I
Mhm.
put my money on Emily Bell Freeman to be the leader of the pack in this.
Right.
Or Tamara Runia. I could see
Oh,
her.
I
Yeah.
can see her doing it
Mhm.
too. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and there's three stories that at least jumped to my mind. They sort of have this cultural dynamic where so it's the garments, and this is the next number 4 story of the year is sister missionaries can be called to go on missions at 18. And then the new story about the new Bible translations that are,
Yeah.
approved or whatever. Like they're it's like the church puts this out, the church puts the garment out, but then there's sort of this cultural policy of like, yeah, but come on, we're not really doing sleeveless, okay? Like
Yeah.
we're not still
You
not
can
showing our
wear
shoulders, right?
them, but don't wear
Yeah,
sleeveless stuff.
or the new mission age comes and like, oh, you're not going into 18. Like, what's wrong? Like, you should go to 18 because you can go at 18. When in reality, that's not anywhere near the direction, right? Or the new Bible translation be like, well, I know you people use the NIV, but I'm a tried and true King James guy, because that's sort of the truest translation. Like there's just these like things that we hopefully can get past, and I feel like if our general leaders step up and quote from the new translations or talk about clearly, hey, you can actually go on a mission at 19, 20, 21. Like you don't have to go at 18 type of thing.
You
So
could
it's
go at
interesting to see that.
25.
That's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, there it's change takes a bit for us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Culturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into that story. Number 4, the fourth most popular or significant story of 2025 in the Latter-day Saint world was sister missionaries can be called and go on a mission at 18 years old. So there's some equality amongst the ages for the men and the women. This was a fun one to hear. This was exciting, right? I think everybody loved to hear this.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. It's I think another one that's been kind of long awaited.
Much like the garments, I think it signifies a bigger picture of we're listening to the people in our church. We're listening to the women in our church, and we're seeing them as equals. I think that a lot of times we can say that you're equal, but until we put things into practice, we don't actually show that we believe that. I was reading an article by Adam Miller this week about the biggest thing that we should take from the family proclamation is that men and women are equal. They have equal roles, they have equal duties. And I thought I've never heard the family proclamation taught that way, right? And I think that's what this is. This is saying like women, you are equal, you are valuable, you are important. If you care a lot about this garment situation, great, we're listening to you. If going on a mission at the same age as men makes you feel what you should be feeling in our church, let's do that. And I think that's the larger issue.
Mm. Yeah, that's maybe a general theme we could highlight in 2025 is sort of this
Mhm.
feeling of they're listening and they're showing that, right? Yeah, interesting. That's great. It's great. It was fun to just, look at my 13-year-old daughter and say, let her know the news and say, "You're 1 year closer, like, if you wanna be,
Yeah.
right? Like, this is cool." And she was excited. She's always talked about, going on a mission, and so I was like, "Wow, yeah, it's 1 year closer. That's great." So,
But how does that make you feel as a dad? That's 5 years
let's
away.
not talk
That's
about
not
that,
very far.
Tiffany. Let's not talk about that, okay? I will weep like a child out in that park across from the MTC, and it will
Yeah.
anyways,
Will
so
we see more women serving missions than men a decade from now?
that'll be a significant milestone, I'm sure. I don't know, will it? I think it would, but I mean, there's still the
I mean,
stigma
more
of
women go to college than men now, just by
yeah,
a hair, by like 1 or 2%. I could see this being something that in a decade from now, women having the opportunity to, form their lives in that way. I could see more women serving than men. I could.
wow, yeah. There's a prediction for you. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I think that's interesting, and, hopefully, maybe with this, because there's a stigma of, it's sort of an expectation of young men
Mhm.
and not so
Mhm.
for young women, and so maybe that will continue to keep it, more men, but, and then with this new young men's presidency and general council that, kinda hit the news, there's some movers and shakers on there that maybe they can engage the hearts of young men in a way that hopefully that they'll bump up that missionary service as well, but we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I do think there's something about having a choice that makes it more desirable,
yes.
frankly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not something like, "Well, I'm 19, I guess I might as well go," rather than
Yeah.
choosing it, right? Alright, number 5. I mean, now we're really hitting the hard news. The mobile temple recommend rollout.
Mm.
I'm
This is
loving it. Just I'm
exciting.
not worrying about leaving my recommend somewhere or whatever, but, yeah, that was cool. I'm glad it's happened. Sort of like, "Yep, it happened." But any thoughts there?
No, it's great. It's been another one that I feel like has been a long time coming, right? Like
Yeah.
we've been waiting. So it's great. Great, great, great.
Cool. All right. We'll go through these last ones pretty quick here. The number 6 is new first presidency announced. So obviously that comes with
Yep.
every death of a prophet is the reorganization of the first presidency, and President Christopherson now in the on the team is great to see, and I think Ariane or was it Melissa that mentioned just they went through and saw the Salt Lake Temple, and yeah, it's still an
Yeah.
older first presidency with some limitations physically, but we're excited to see what they have in store. And obviously there's already these things with the temple announcement and done locally, and
Yeah.
obviously the missionary age change, and so the Bible translation thing. So good stuff.
Well, and speaking of the temple announcement done locally, I mean, that was something that happened after we had already done our poll, because I think that just happened,
Yeah,
what, Sunday?
yeah.
Was it
I
last
think
Sunday or the Sunday before?
it was last Sunday.
Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, last Sunday. That's kind of a big deal. I mean,
yeah,
we're so used to for so long having temple announcements in conference, and now to have them locally, it's kinda crazy.
yeah. Yeah, and there's a part of me that really likes that. I mean, I think I love the energy of
Yeah,
looking forward to where it's going to be, and we sort of all celebrated as one unified church. But I think there is something special. You saw some of those still shots of the members responding in Maine, and yeah, it's kind of cool that it gets to happen. They can kind of hear the
yeah,
news generally together, but
yeah.
so
Mhm.
No, it is kinda cool, but can you even imagine if you're sitting there, since this was the first one, at a Christmas devotional, and all of a sudden they say, "Oh, yeah, by the way, we're gonna put a temple here." You'd be going, What?"
yeah,
So caught off guard.
Mhm.
Like,
yeah,
I'm here to talk about Jesus.
yeah. All right, now we are on number 7 is the Salt Lake Temple open house announced for
Mm.
what was it,
2027?
2028 or something?
2027.
2027.
My
2027.
I think it's gonna run April through October, so I think it's gonna bookend the, the 2 conferences.
That'd be great. And I heard kind of just in different influencer gatherings I get to go to that the communications department said they expect somewhere around 5 million people to attend and go through the
Wow.
temple open house. I would guess that it'll be closer to 10 by all of a sudden done, but who knows? I mean, that's a lot of people, but it is
Yeah,
going to be a significant experience even just for our country. People internationally are going to fly in just to walk
yeah.
through that building. So, and I don't blame them.
My
So,
in-laws have already planned a whole family reunion around it. Airbnb is
wow.
booked. Like,
Wow.
Dang.
they did not mess around.
I've
It's
met
a
your
good idea.
in-laws. I'm not surprised. Can I tag on? Can I get tickets for me when you guys are
Yeah.
going?
That's awesome.
It's going to be fascinating to see logistically how they manage their people.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of volunteers they're gonna
Yeah.
need from
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
locally.
I mean, it really touches every, department or organization in the church that, there's going to be a remarkable number of baptisms that come out of this, of individuals just experiencing that building and being drawn to our theology and our message. Right.
Yep.
So really cool. All right. Number 8 is this is at the beginning of the year, it was the LA fire relief response that I think I forget exactly the details as far as how the church responded, but obviously local members, and then, the church probably shipped in all sorts of supplies and things to help out. But any memories of that one? Or
That feels so long
It
I
ago.
does.
know.
Like I've lived a life since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, maybe the big story is really though how much the church recently said they do spend on humanitarian per year. I think it was close to 2 billion a year just on humanitarian. I think that's a cool story.
Yeah, that was January of last year. It's just amazing how much can happen in a year that, we don't realize. So,
Yeah.
all right. Number 9 was the UVU Charlie Kirk assassination. Obviously not directly related to the church other than it happened at UVU and the heart of our, um, our, of the Wasatch Front here, or the church's home base. And it just, I mean, and maybe it was because I'm in American Fork, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes from that campus. you know, Elders Quorum was, church in general was really just heavy the weeks following that, and people just grappling with it, that something like this happened in our community or in our country, and sort of the blowback and the response politically, and just the online culture and all that. So, definitely a story worth highlighting there. Any thoughts with how that story impacted our culture?
Well, the shooter was raised LDS. I don't know if he was currently practicing, but I do believe his bishop was involved in helping the father figure out how to turn the son in.
Yeah, so
Um,
what I heard from that is that it was a bishopric member, but so the
okay,
family had not been active for several years, but they had
okay,
known this police officer was in the bishopric, or in their former bishopric, and so they reached out to him because he knew kind of how to handle it and take the next step. So it wasn't necessarily a bishop or even a pastor or church figure, but it was he was in a lay leadership position that happened to be a police officer, so he knew kind of what to do. But anyway,
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I do think just from the perspective of church leadership, it's important to remember that they get called on to do a lot of things that they may or may not be prepared to know how to do. You know, I think of the families in that area that needed to then reach out in a ministering capacity, to this family. And I think it was another example of church members behaving in a way that made me proud. It really was. I mean, um, I did appreciate that we didn't get attacked as a church because the shooter was affiliated with our church to some degree. But I did appreciate that a lot of the stories that I heard were, yeah, of people down there ministering to that family, ministering to each other, and looking out for each other.
all right. And number 10 is no more Saturday evening session during general conference.
Woo
The end of an
woo.
institution. So, Tiffany, you're excited by this?
By the time I get to Saturday night, I'm just like, there's more. There's more.
Saturday night's rough. Now, I think it would be
Yeah.
different if it were the old model where
Yes.
they still had a women's and a men's.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because there were a lot of fun traditions associated
Mhm.
with that. When they did priesthood session, my husband always made it a big deal for our boys, and they went down to Salt Lake several times, got tickets to go to the priesthood session. If they didn't, they'd be watching it at our house, and then they'd, go do something fun afterwards. And it was really a good father-son bonding activity. And in fact, the reason that Ariane and I are even on TWIM is we were driving down. This was when they had the women's session the week before conference. So that's how far back we're going. And Ariane and I had tickets and we were driving down to Utah and we were taking our girls down there. And Jeff Openshaw had just put it out there, anybody who's interested in co-hosting or hosting. And we had listened to somebody who had hosted and thought to ourselves, well, we could do better than that.
And now look at you.
Yeah, that whole drive down to the women's session, we were brainstorming.
We were brainstorming about stuff we could talk about. So yes, I feel like if it were still like where they had the separate, men and women's sessions, I would probably feel differently about it because it just gave you an opportunity to for the brethren to bond or for the sisters to bond. But when it just became a general session, then it was just like, meh.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a lot of them, if I'm being honest, live anyway. I do think this is a great opportunity for wards or stakes to create a new tradition. So maybe we have our ward dinner between Saturday and Sunday sessions, or I don't know, a girls' night or something like that. I think it's an opportunity to create a new tradition when we don't have to sit and listen to church for 2 more hours. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I do have one concern. My one concern is not a concern, kind of a concern. The women speakers in general conference. This is one less opportunity to slide one in. So will they slide another one in during the regular sessions, or will it remain the same? Because that is one thing we've lost not having the women's session is we got
sister leaders.
We got to hear from so many women's sisters, like leadership sisters, back when we had the women's session. And so that is my one thing where I'm like, oh, I hope this doesn't take away one more women speaker.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think it just impact the format in general. It'll be interesting how President Oaks arranges that or, dictates that as far as, will every apostle still speak or will only apostles speak? Or, that's with such limited spots, it's, might be very different.
And I know I'm known for having stupid and weird ideas, but why can't we hear? Yeah, that's why I'm a host. Why can't we hear from Sister Oaks at conference? Why can't we hear from Sister Christofferson? I mean, if they truly are serving side by side with their husbands, and they are, why can't we hear from them too? I would love that.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, and it happens at like regional conferences when general authorities travel with their wives. We always hear from their wives these days. So it makes sense to me.
Yep.
All right.
And I listened to a podcast that she did with Church News, and it was a delightful podcast. It was fascinating to hear Sister Oak's perspective.
Good stuff. All right. So there's the top 10 stories. We'll review those real quick again. So the death of President Nelson, number 1. Michigan shooting, number 2. New garment drop, number 3. Sister missioners called at 18 is number 4. Mobile Temple recommends, number 5. New First Presidency, number 6. Salt Lake Temple open house announced, number 7. LA fire response, 8. UVU shooting, number 9. And no more Saturday evening sessions at number 10. Any feel-good stories that we want to highlight? Obviously, there are 3 of those stories in the top 10 dealt with death and tragedy and trauma. Any honorable mentions as far as feel-good stories? And you can even reference something we've already talked about. Anything jump out?
BYU football had a good year.
Yeah, and the basketball team. The BYU sports right now, not just football and basketball, but a lot of their other sports. Their cross country is doing phenomenal. I mean, they have BYU sports in general has leveled up. So
that's a feel-good story.
That's a feel-good story.
If you're a BYU fan.
Plus, BYU is turning 150 this year, and they're having all sorts of parties down there for their 150th birthday, and that's been kind of fun to watch.
Cool. Melissa, what are you going to say?
I've done a full turn on this story, but I think now I do believe that The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is a feel-good story for the LDS community. Everybody watches it and talks about it and maybe makes fun of it a little bit, but I actually think overall it has been positive for our church. I think that now. Yep.
That's cool. I agree. I think there's a book going to be written someday about all the baptisms of people being like, all right, what's up with these Mormons?
Yeah.
Into them.
And just, I think people look at our church more positively because of those weird, sometimes sinning ladies. For some reason, they've
Because
helped
we're all
people look at our
sometimes
church more
sinners.
positively.
Yeah.
I do think we can't talk about 2025 without hitting on those ladies
Yeah.
and the housewives and now the newest bachelorette.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were a big part of church adjacent culture in 2025. So, yeah.
Awesome. Any other feel good stories? I mean, you got to love the giving machines. It's always fun to see them. I even went to the BYU game at the Marriott Center earlier this week, and they have giving machines in the hallway at the Marriott Center. It was cool to see people
That's cool.
engaging with them there. And so, man, any other feel good stories? It's always the negative ones that grab your memory, right? Well, Tiffany, I'm going to spring you on this. Any honorable mentions for the Mormons behaving badly? Any ones that stood out more than others for you?
I don't like the ones that are tragic and have victims involved.
Right.
I'm trying to remember if I know we had a couple funny ones
I
this
feel like
year.
we didn't have as many funny ones this year.
Yeah, that's
The-
very true.
The ones we had this year were real naughty.
Yeah,
Like,
they were
not
they were
good.
they were naughty.
Yes. Yes. And of course, Tim Ballard always hangs on to some news
Yes.
feed, right? So,
Well, and he's trying to make a resurgence.
yes.
He's popping up on my Facebook feed all the time, and his resurgence is very interesting because he's not kind in his words for church leaders in his resurgence. And so to then go so I'm always fascinated by what he has to say, and then I go read the comments, and to read the comments of people who I'm just like, don't you all just see him for the charlatan that he is? And
Yeah.
and it just blows my mind that people are still getting sucked in. That is Tiffany 101, my opinion only.
Love it. Awesome. All right, so let's look back on last year's episode. We made a few predictions, or the hosting panel we
Oh,
had made some predictions. Let's see who
oh,
came through, and we'll start by throwing Matt under the bus first, because that's what we do here. Matt predicted that garments can be made at home. How do we do? I think that might be happening in 2026 with a shortage.
I know. If they don't get it together pretty soon, it might not.
Well, and a part of me wishes, can they just send out an announcement and say, "Hey, do this with dignity and respect, but if you would like to remove the sleeves of your garments, go ahead." Like,
Yeah.
I would be fine. I've got some, last me another months to
yeah,
9 months, and just,
yes,
let's take those sleeves off and we'll be good. But
Oh,
yeah.
100%. That would solve a lot of problems temporarily. Yes. Mhm.
yes. And Matt also predicted a Middle East temple in Turkey. So I don't know if you
Did
want to
that
look at
happen?
the.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it did, but
It's
Istanbul is templeless, so they continue that. But hey, if they have a Christmas devotional there, we should keep our ears open. Maybe they'll mention.
right.
So, all right, should we go to you next, Melissa?
Yeah, what did I predict?
You predicted tattooed garments.
Okay, in jest, but I
It's
do
just
still
it
think it's a
wasn't just
great idea.
yes.
Okay,
I
That was
let's
also
move
thoughtful.
away
that.
from
Yes.
them being a piece of underwear, and let's, if we really want to have the remembrance all the time, I think it's a great idea to tattoo the symbol on. It is a little bit in jest. I know it will never happen, but I also think it's a pretty good idea.
I love it. I would do it.
All right, you
I
heard
would
it.
too.
You heard it here first. So,
An LDS thing, an LDS run tattoo parlor.
It would have to be a special place, I'm sure.
and then you also predicted the church will create a Doge like of organization, Department of what was that? Department of Government Efficiency. So,
Oh,
Department of Church Efficiency. But
I don't remember that prediction. I
this
don't
was,
even know
I
what
mean,
it
a whole
meant.
year ago. So, yeah,
I know.
I think Doge was in the news a lot generally, and so it made sense.
Okay.
Made sense,
Okay.
and I guess in
So,
a way, like they're making temple announcements more efficient. Maybe there's a department that came up
Yeah.
with that. So,
it's okay. You can just say I'm 0 for 2. It's fine.
all right, moving on to Tiffany. Hey, this one I'm not. I don't keep too many tabs on this, but you predicted 2 more LDS reality shows. like
Oh.
a Bachelor show and a Kardashian type of show.
Well, we got the
We
Bachelorette.
got the
Right?
Bachelorette because we got
Right?
Taylor Frankie Paul as the Bachelorette. We haven't gotten a Kardashian, a family show yet. We do have Heather Gay with a 4-part
Oh, yeah.
documentary on Bravo about Mormonism that I haven't watched
That's
it,
true.
but I heard it's not super favorable.
And there have been rumors that people are scouting the Boise area for
Oh yes.
for a Real Housewives Secret Lives
Boise.
Mormony adjacent show in the Boise area. I don't think it's happening. I think it's just
The Real Lives of Nampa Mormon Housewives. Right?
Seriously, so
Nampa's the perfect spot.
I think you two are prime candidates. Twin Sisters reality show. I'm in.
Oh yeah, they could come watch us bedazzle dance costume.
Yeah.
And Christmas trees.
Christmas trees. Make copious amounts of cookies for every function available.
Love it. All right, now we'll move on to me. Last year, these were more like on my wish list than maybe prediction, but I feel like if I predict it, maybe I put it out in the cosmos. But I first predicted that we would get a clarifying message on the word of wisdom.
Oh, I
Yeah,
would
we
like
did.
that.
I would like that
Right?
too.
Keep it on the calendar for this year.
Yeah, roll it over to 2026.
Right? Because there's just so many, like you grab a random granola bar and you're like, okay, let's see. Oh, this is a granola bar. It has green tea in it. Like what the, like, but I'm not drinking it, but can I? And some people are like, whatever, like, so it is confusing in my opinion in 2025. And then I also predicted that we would get an elders quorum general presidency and advisory council. Nope, we didn't. All right. Shout out to our former international TWIM host. Daniel was on last year's year-end episode, and he nailed it. He said that we would get a new president of the church.
Wow.
So,
good for Daniel.
He also predicted we would have the first emeritus apostle. That did not happen.
I think that could happen this year. I think that President Oaks is the kind of a president prophet who could look at tradition and how things have happened, and he could make a case for a change in that way.
Let's leave that one on.
We shall see. And then Daniel also predicted that there would be a single general authority called, like as in their marital status is single. But I do not think that happened. But and Georgia was on the year-end episode. She predicted President Johnson would conduct general conference, which did not happen. But we had some unique general conferences as they were, so that was probably too much for the membership to handle or change. And then we would have area relief society presidencies, which is a phenomenal idea, but again, I don't think it happened. So
that is a good idea.
All right, now is the time, whether you like it or not, you have to go on the record and give us a 2026 prediction. Melissa, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I like to make more wild predictions, but I think this year is probably actually going to happen. My prediction is for all missionaries being able to choose the length of their mission. So males and females being able to choose a length. And I could see this happening. Like if you only want to serve a 12-month mission, you're limited to this type of mission. That's fine. But that's my prediction. Options.
Love it. All right, Ariane, give us something good.
Oh, I predict, again, this might be more of a wish list. I predict that we're going to go back to having young men's presidencies in the wards. I just think it's been a while and it's maybe not the most efficient.
Are you saying it's not working, Ariane?
It is not working smoothly.
Yes.
I'm going to ditto what she says.
And I think that maybe they gave it a good run, and maybe this will be the year that they realize like they need to take a little bit of that pressure off of bishoprics. But that's my prediction. I also predict the Mormon housewife fascination will fade slightly this year.
Ratings are on
I also predict Taylor Frankie Paul will not find love on The Bachelorette.
You heard it here first.
I know.
I think she'll find love 4 times on The Bachelorette.
That might be more accurate.
Interesting. All right, Tiffany, what do you got?
Okay, I predict that we will see a sister leader in a sleeveless, like, I don't know, dress or shirt or something, not at general conference. We will see this when they are out amongst the saints, like, in the Philippines, in
Mm-hmm.
those countries where it's really hot or humid, that we will get our first look into a sister leader wearing a sleeveless garment. And this will rock us to the core.
Faith
Yes.
crises everywhere. This is
And then I have one more prediction. This is kind
okay.
of going out on a limb, that that the Relief Society president will be invited to sit on the stand during sacrament meeting.
Ooh, just the release site
Oh,
presidency or
like
the
all
the
over in
president?
every war.
The president.
Okay,
How
That'll be
about
that'll
Young Women's president, primary president?
let's get them all up there.
No, I think just Relief Society.
She thinks it's
You
going to
don't
be
want
a
to go too
baby.
bold.
We don't That's right. We don't want to go too bold.
Okay. All right. For me, I will predict that there will be some type of effort or push for young men to be, more something more similar to the scouting program that will be released. Not, I think we'll get this in phases. Maybe we'll start out with like a clear like camping objective or like adventuring objective, and they'll fold in the young women's experience with that as well. And so I think there's a lot coming with the young women's presence or the youth program, I guess I should say. So, and man, that's all I got. I feel like I need a wish list. They'll make all mission presidents locally called. There you go.
Ooh.
And there were a few. Somebody predicted on the survey that we will have the president of the church by the end of 2026 will be President Uchtdorf. That's bold.
Oh.
Was that Matt? Because that includes a lot of dying, doesn't it?
Well, it
Yeah,
includes
he's usually the one.
two dying.
I know. I'm trying to do the math in my head. How many people have to die?
Doesn't it, like, President Oaks would have to die and President Holland would have to
Holland,
die?
Eyring.
Holland, 3.
Yes.
Ooh, that's dark.
That is dark. That's way dark.
All right. Well, we've seen crazier things in this news as we've learned this year. Did I mention them all? I think yeah, yours were mentioned. Women getting someone said women will get the option to serve 2-year missions. So
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
so
could
it's
see that.
awesome. Awesome.
I
All
mean, if
right.
we're equalizing everything out.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Any other predictions you want to throw in there? Get on the record. We need to get Matt on the record somehow because his are always like out of left field. And we're just
Yeah.
like,
I'll
what
just
the-
predict for him the second coming will happen at April General Conference.
yes.
There we go.
That's his go-to. He's going to be right one of these times. I mean, you
Sure.
think, right? If you keep saying it. So awesome. All right. So I want to just put out there, like, I love the team of hosts that we have and the input. And I know that they're not everybody's cup of tea, which is a terrible figure of speech for this podcast. But we would love if there are others out there. And Melissa, I remember your story. Like we put a call for hosts out there, and you heard it, and you sent me a message and said, I'd love to speak to it. My brother's kind of crazy, and give us a chance. And it's been great. So, yeah, if there's anybody listening out there who'd be interested in maybe, it's usually best if you have like a duo. There's some chemistry. I think there's something about like Melissa and Matt's chemistry and Ariane and Tiffany's chemistry that they know each other. They can, get in some jabs and push back on each other. That I think makes it for a more interesting story. So that is open. We're open to this, adding more to our hosting team. It'd be so cool to get some international hosts again, giving us that perspective that people really seem to appreciate that. So putting that out there for sure. And I was going to say, and just a big thank you to the host. None of us get paid all of the resources we just turn back into either hosting or things like that. But we're hoping to get to a place of that maybe, throw you a swig card every once in a while, guys. So
Some garments. If you want to give me some garments, that's fine. I'd take that.
Any connections?
That'd be great. However, we do have some new hosts, or some. Of course, we highlight the Postum. They will be our featured sponsor for 2026. But we do have a few new sponsors this year, and one sent me
Oh,
some gifts, and they promised me that they would all send you some gifts. So, obviously you will pick what you want. But this is I want to get the name right. The Latter Day 3D Studios. They sent
Ooh,
me an ornament. Look at this. Now you
Tiffany, can
Oh,
you hardly wait?
right now
I
this
can
isn't just
hardly
any ornament.
wait.
This isn't just any ornament. This is a temple ornament. Can you
oh, they're
tell which?
temples.
Can you tell
Salt Lake?
which temple
That's
that is?
cool.
Okay, that is really
That's
cool.
cool.
That
That is
is
the Idaho Falls Temple,
Oh,
where
it's
my wife and
Idaho
I were sealed.
Falls. Oh,
Right,
that's cool.
okay, that is very, very, very cool.
and this one, it kind of, anyways, there's this one he sent me as well. This one, I believe, is my assigned temple, which is the Mount Timpanogos Temple. So
That is really cool.
yeah, they
Oh.
make cool ornaments, and they've got all sorts of 3D, magnets, ties. They have 3D printed ties on here. So we're excited to have them as a sponsor, and we'll be promoting that. And then there is also choosetheright.ring.com. Okay, and they produce
Oh,
they do all things CTR rings or churchy rings, and they gave me a little coupon code for all of the hosts, so you'll get to be able to
oh,
shop and pick something you like, and they'll send it to you at no cost. So,
Oh, that's
I
um,
Fun.
love
cool.
that.
Very
Okay.
and so
cool.
we'll be
Oh, I'm
highlighting
excited to
those
get
as well.
on both of their websites and see their stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, let me just check the news. Oh my goodness, something just hit. A big
What?
big news story. You may not have seen this, but this may catch you off guard. But in 2026, This Week in Mormons is changing their name to This Week in Latter Days. Ta-da!
Really?
Serially?
Seriously, and you may hate it, but listen, hear me out, okay? So This
Okay.
Week in Mormons will, starting in 2026, will be This Week in Latter Days. And you're saying, Kurt, I
Okay.
mean, why? I mean, the tradition, and this has been vetted and prayed about with our original OG host, Jeff
Oh,
Openshaw.
good. Good,
Yeah,
good, good.
so I want to make sure I didn't, throw away his brand that he came up with so long ago. Um, and said I actually considered changing the name to This Week in Latter Days. Many years ago. And so he's approved. I have his blessing. I'm actually going to be interviewing him before the end of the year, and we'll get an update on Jeff and all things. So those of you that are new to the podcast, so This Week in Mormons started. Jeff is going to kill me. I think it was 2010, maybe earlier. And Jeff and Al were these young single guys, and then they did this weekly podcast episode that then they got married and had children, and life got busy. And then Jeff gave me the opportunity to acquire the brand. And obviously, it seems like an odd time to change to get away from the Mormon word, because President Nelson, was hammered this, and now we've moved on to another administration. But the main reason, one, I want to be clarified, because it has been in the news that the church has gone after certain podcasts and brands online that use Mormon. They did not contact me. It has nothing to do with that. We are not under
No
pressure
conspiracy
or
theories here.
a cease and desist. I would have sent Tiffany after them, and she would have done her legal
Right.
martial arts and solve the problem. But I just, as I'm looking to make Twim or Twilled.
Twill? Are we twill?
We're T
Twilled?
Wild.
Twilled.
T
Twilled.
Wild.
Wild. That's
T
I just read
Wild.
the acronym and we're T Wild. So we're
That's
gonna
right.
be the T Wild sisters,
That's right.
which is probably appropriate for us.
Right. But there is one of those things where I just thought, I want to see more growth in this brand. It's not really happening. And so maybe if we go to we get rid of the stigma that comes with that Mormon word, maybe people will lean in a little bit more. But we're gonna try it. All right. So whether you like it or hate it, I don't know. I just want to keep this going and do it all. And I can anyways, I'll have to show you. I got the logo all done and things like that. But
Ooh.
Oh,
Fun.
He's
I
ready
love
to
it. I'm
go.
excited about this announcement, Kurt.
Okay.
Honestly, when I tell people the name of the podcast, when they ask for it, I feel a little bit weird saying This Week in Mormons because I think they think it leans anti-Mormon just because of that word. So I think
Especially
it's a great change.
especially when you tell them that and you're wearing something sleeveless. It's like,
I know.
man,
I
it's
know.
apostate.
It has been a really hard cross for me to bear. You're right, Kurt.
Yeah.
So I'm all in. I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
Kurt, I'm here to tell you no one will be more happier than my husband, Darren Tanner, because he has been giving me a hard time for years. Why are you still Mormon? Why are you still Mormon? Don't you know you're not supposed to be using that? So
Right.
he will be even more delighted to podcast now that he doesn't have to associate with the M words.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'm sure we'll say it still from time to time, but don't we all, right? We
Yeah.
still can't get it
Yeah.
out of our vernacular, but
But I
so
like the new acronym. I like the T Wild.
that's right. So you're the T Wild sisters. I don't know. We
Yes.
don't have to use that acronym, but
I might work on it. I
Yeah.
might work on it a little bit. You can be
we
the
can just be
T
This
Wild
Week in
sisters,
Latter-day.
but
So anyway, so there's a big announcement there, and my prediction is another prediction I'll throw out there is we will do an end of year 2026 episode. We will survive whatever shift or disruption that this branding change brings, but it'll be good. It'll be good. So
I
again,
love it.
call for host. Now people are like, well, if you're not going to use the Mormon word, maybe I'll lean into this.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's that. That's what's going
Uh,
on. So what else was I going to say? Anything you guys want to plug or promote, or any favorite things, Tiffany or Ariane, you want to highlight? Or
I don't think we have.
Nah, I'll save my favorite thing for next time.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you again to all you hosts for just the time you give. It does get complicated some weeks, and and there's always a handful of weeks where it's like nobody can record, and I think, well, I guess we're just not having an episode this week, and that's okay.
Yep.
We just move on and make up the news later. But really appreciate all that you all do for This Week in Latter Days, and a big thank you to our audience as well. So many of you have hung on, and I would love all your feedback. If you need to go to contact, it is still contact at This Week in Mormons, but we'll change that. And so the website is up. If you go to This Week in Latter Days, it will forward to the current website, which will change that branding with the new year. And but
Okay.
we'd love to hear from the audience what you think of this. Maybe you hate it, maybe you love it. I know it's a long-standing brand, and Richie did torture me to tell him this news, and he promised on his life and everything he cares about that he would not allude to it on his program. And he says his
Told
wife likes
Richie
it.
already?
So
I can't believe you
his
told
wife likes
Richie
it. Then
before you told us.
I know. I apologize. I wanted to be like a moment on the recording, right? So
Okay, that's
anyway,
fair. But
yeah,
we beef with Richie.
I know that guy. That's a new segment of throw Richie under the bus. But anyways, we love you, Richie. The Cultural Hall. I know someday you will be This Week in the Cultural Hall, and we will gladly acquire you. We always joke to each other that we're going to just acquire one another's podcast. So good stuff. So all right, here's to another fantastic year, 2026. We hope that there is so little tragedy and so much blessing and charity and goodness and words from prophets and sister leaders and all that comes from this beautiful faith that we have, that we believe in deeply and appreciate, and love monitoring our weird culture. And I love being part of our weird culture, right? Here's to
Yeah.
sleeveless garments and weird tattoos or whatever. So anyway, thanks guys. Merry Christmas and happy 2026.